What's up, y'all? Happy new moon in Capricorn. I hope everybody is having a good beginning of the year. I feel really good about everything so far. It feels pretty easeful, harmonious, straightforward, fluid. I'm not going to jinx this. Like, of course, there's going to be challenges, but I just feel like I can feel serenity starting to trickle in. Or maybe we're all just getting numb to the carnage, who knows? But I feel a sense of groundedness. And I like that Capricorn is our new moon going into the year because it's like the most grounded way to have the cardinal energy of a fresh start, which makes sense that it's in the winter. It's like this is a pensive fresh start. We have a lot of energy that is rearing to go and take action. Mars in Capricorn, we're feeling very like the fires are starting to ignite. We're feeling the catalysts, we're feeling the inspiration and the passion, but we're feeling a little impulsive and it's a little premature. So I think that the excitement is good to let it build and put it into planning and research and not just spinning your wheels in busy acts and busy work, like making yourself think that you're being productive. Like really cut the fat and hone in on where is your time and your attention most valuably placed, and like in what sensible sequential order. Don't jump ahead of yourself, just take small manageable bites. So Capricorn is cardinal energy. The seed level, the new moon is the seed level of the month. This is the first new moon of the year, so this is the seed level of the year. And I love that so far we've had the first day of the year, January 1st, was on Monday. And then the first week, Mercury went retrograde. So I felt like Monday being on the 1st was so nice and organized. And then Mercury going straight forward was just like, oh my God, thank goodness. And then our new moon being the seed level, consciousness of the next month, the first month of the year, it's on 111. And or was it was in the middle of the night? Yeah, so it's today, but it was in the night. But now you'll be seeing this when you see it, but I'm filming it in the early evening of 111. So yeah, just very wonderful, kismet signs of positive new beginnings and good things to look forward to. I feel like there's a lot of expansion coming our way. I'm really excited to do the 2024 predictions. There's going to be an overview of the year, and then I will do a month by month, and I would have already done it already. It's just I haven't gotten to yet. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'll probably start those tomorrow. So after I have a few things to do tomorrow, but back to it. So we're getting really grounded about how we're going to take really divinely inspired action towards our goals, because this is going to be a building year. We had, cleared the grounds in 2022. And in 2023, it was like we were giving birth to a renewal of self. It was like ego death and spiritual renewal and spiritual rebirth and rebirthing the self and reinvention and dying 1,000 deaths and being reborn again and rising from the ashes and doing it all over. And feeling when is this new beginning starting? And so it was feeling like 2023 was this bridge year. It was like a limbo. So we were kind of in that in-between space. And I'm really feeling that 2024 is going to be a year where we are starting to, we've got the foundation laid, and it is a sound and even and secure foundation that has been laid, very clean. And now we have really high quality, high value materials and good skills to build with now, to create sound infrastructures. It may be, more intricate beauty than we could have had we just rushed out into a new beginning back to back to back from our old cycle ending, like straight into like the new thing. It's like we needed this time to incubate. And so now this is like the beginning of the new beginning. This is the timeline jump. And so it's best to make sure you don't have a leg straddling on the old timeline, because you're going to be like, staticky on both channels, right? You want to be fully in this one and give yourself the best chance. And so it's like we are now starting to have a chance to embody this new consciousness, this new perspective that will lead us into this up level of our lives. We have kind of gotten to a point where we've jumped timelines and now we're fresh in a new timeline. And depending on the choices we choose in the early stages and the consciousness that we're in during these seed level moments, and this new moon not just being the seed level of this month, but the seed level of this year. And we're in the seed level of this new beginning, right? So the seed level of our consciousness is going to flavor what we're creating. So the more that we can do the acts of sacrificing, the lower self, the things that are holding us back, and we can take our time and witness the old default settings wanting to come up and wanting to go into that reflex response mode in our reactivity. But no, we're not going to be reactive, because we are going to consciously choose with free will, with sovereignty and ownership and self-mastery, take our time so that we can breathe through this and choose wisely and choose according to all of the things and the lessons that we've learned up until now that we're bringing with us. It's like, in order to really get this fresh start and a new beginning, and we really can, it can be a whole new story. The past, just bring the jewels, bring the gold with us, but leave the baggage behind, leave the regrets behind, leave the shame behind. You can be a new person. But it takes us behaving as the new person now and putting on this new cloak, and it takes practice. And it's like rehearsing a routine. Pretend you are if you want to be a figure skater, or like an Olympic figure skater, or an Olympic gymnast, or what have you. But pick your poison, and just think about how, in order to perfect the skill, the execution of the moves and the choreography that these athletes at this level are trying to execute, it takes practice. It takes repetition, and it takes them thinking about it day and night, like eating, sleeping, dreaming, bathing it. It's like thinking and visualizing them going through the scenario over and over and over again. And then we're not obsessing, but we are rewriting our subconscious so that we can have new patterns. And so it just takes more of a practice of presence in the beginning. It'll get more natural and more, effortless as we practice. But in order to get past the muscle memory of the old, go-to, we have to focus for a little bit. So Capricorn is hey, focus. It's time to really take ourselves seriously and take what we've learned and put it into action and get to business. And so I think that, what we have is we've had some really exciting things and ideas and manifestations brewing within us. And so it's we've been preparing and we've been doing the work. And so we're ready for this. So it's very exciting. So now we're just grounding it all in. This is also feminine energy. So, we don't have to force anything right now. Right now we can be in the receiving mode and resting in, nourishing the self and really getting our ducks in a row to make sure everything is all in order as we're moving forward. And like, just take an inventory of each kingdom of your life, you know, your relationships and your emotions. How do you want this new cycle to start with those? When you play out common scenarios where you trip up, how would you like to try to see that play out instead? And if you reverse engineer that version of you, how would you have to handle these common scenarios in order to get from the desirable point A to the desirable point B that you would like to see? You know, we can't do anything about how other people are going to be and who they become and how they are. All we can do is focus it in on the self. And so the more we detach from our expectations of others, not that we don't have standards and like boundaries and things, it's just that we're not attached to it's easier to walk away if you're not like attached to like what people are doing in the other half of, you know, your own personal work. So just focus on your own personal work. And, you know, it's like we're all guilty of wanting everybody else to change to be more compliable with what's comfortable for us, but that's not the point. They're here to antagonize us while we learn to transcend the parts of us, close the gaps that allow the antagonizing in the first place. It's like, why would we be taking any of it in that way? Capricorn is the father of the zodiac. And earlier in the week during our Oracle manifestation reading, father healing had come up. And I also think that there is something about the toxic masculine wound coming up of being exposed to someone, literally your father, or, you know, father like people or authority figures, or just the toxic masculine energy of the zeitgeist that is in the air sometimes. And there's toxic feminine energy too. So like, this isn't, you know, them against them. But of being like overly domineering or controlling or aggressive or angry or hostile. And then what that does is then it creates a toxic femininity where you are overly passive. And so, and like you haven't been encouraged to think for yourself. So it's like you second guess yourself, and you almost, to the degree in the darkest shadows, is that you want everybody to do everything for you, and you become a manipulative receiver. You're a taker. And so what we're finding is that, you know, this is on a spectrum for everyone, but I think that we are where we may have stayed quiet and felt afraid to take up our space in the room or be fully authentic, you know, with certain relationships, or speak up or speak our truth or speak up for ourselves. I think that now we're feeling like we've been growing our self-worth, and we've been growing our trust, and we've been growing our ability to step out of our comfort zone and take a risk. And so now we're feeling like, okay, I can stand head to head and shoulder to shoulder, you know, with this energy, and I can hold my own. And if I need to, I can take up for myself, or defend what I, you know, believe, or, you know, I'm always thinking of someone who's like trying to stand out in the crowd to like exalt their product in a sea of competition, you know, this kind of energy. It's like you can put yourself out there, you're assertive, you're sure, you know, you don't need respect from anyone, you have respect for yourself, so you command more respect, that kind of thing. So it's like correcting that energy of the toxic masculine wound of being overly domineered, and being able to balance it out gracefully rather than toxically or like forcefully in an overcorrective way. Let's see. And the new moon, this new moon is conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. So it's also, and then Pluto has been in Capricorn for a while. So this is like the final moments of the death and rebirth and the transformation and the, not really the final, I mean, we're always doing it in layers, but of the end of a huge major learning cycle. And so, throughout the winter holidays, our spiritual work has been focused on like 3 core things that might be blocking us. And these 3 things are 3 of the emotional or spiritual or energetic wounds that we've been carrying around our whole life, that we or when we're triggered, like those things trigger us and they motivate our actions without us having been knowing that, and maybe they've been driving patterns as well. Maybe these are the 3 things that you have left that you're working on that are the most prominent now. Whatever it is, it's probably like the first 3 things that came to your mind. Well, those 3 things, even if they don't seem related, are blocking the first 3 things that you would say are the 3 goals that you hold closest to you right now, the 3 dreams that you want to come true. And so whatever you would call number 1 on each is corresponding, even if you don't feel they're related, like somehow energetically they're related. And that personality, aspect, that lower ego personality aspect is blocking that. Like, for example, 3 might be, and these have been my 3, I've been talking about them, hostility, resentment, and jealousy, which makes sense with my chart. And in Kabbalah, we learn a lot about like our particular correction in this life, or as like in the Hebrew language, it's called tikkun. It's like your soul correction, and these things would be related to your astrological signs. Mine are Aries, which is like temperamental, hostile. Cancer can be very resentful. I've been wronged. And then I've got a stellium in Taurus, which loves to possess things and have things. And I have Libra as my rising, and so we often self-abandon to pacify others, and so often that I think that makes us feel covetous and jealous of people that are not doing that. So so those are the things that I've been working on really deeply. And so Pluto in Capricorn right now is a great influence and help in helping us overcome the transmutation of those issues, turning not specifically mine, but whatever yours might be, insecurity, financial issues like poverty, maybe you have issues with talking about people, or whatever it is for you that you've been trying to work on, it intuitively comes up. So this can be a really, powerful time to transform that into something, something else, something positive, right? For me, the hostility causes separation and division. So how can I bring harmony and unity there, right? How can I turn resentment into appreciation and turn that around into going deeper into my authenticity, so that I can be, feel freedom, right? Transmute that into positive, virtuous, energy. Let's see. So Mars in Capricorn is also giving us that backbone to address that toxic masculine wound of overaggression, and causing us to be impulsive. So the mother wound affects the way that we feel about ourselves inside. It affects our self-worth. But our father wound affects our outward expression. It's the masculine, it's the outward, outer physical, tangible. So it affects how we act. And I have believed that if you have a particular sort of father wound, that it can cause you to have shiny object syndrome. It can cause you to be impulsive. It can give you a lack of groundedness. And so, the good, stable, sturdy, involved father, figure archetype that you think of. They're very grounded. They're always asking their children very grounded questions to make sure they're all very grounded and like taken care of and secure. And if you have like certain kinds of father wounds, then you may not have felt that your father was like that. And so you may feel more, less grounded and more all over the place, and less like the masculine energy in its purest form is just like absolute unadulterated dynamism with no form, no structure, no focus. It's the divine feminine that creates boundary and shape and form. It's a womb to catch that energy so that the whole thing can gestate into creation. So Capricorn energy at its best is sort of like the fusion of that divine masculine and feminine energy of being able to have that logic and also the creative, intuitive femininity and the creative power and it be in balance so that it's successfully executed. Although the shadow side of Capricorn is that they can be maybe like overly domineering and controlling and overly stern and strict. But the positive side, if we can master our shadow aspects of Capricorn in each of us, is that we can really get focused and hone in, and our vision is going to broaden and crystallize, and we're going to see clearly what it is that we need to do and what needs to be done. And it's going to be so much more easy to just take action and execute. For instance, today, I have wanted for the last couple of years a very large, like gold leaf mirror. And I wanted it because I grew up as a dancer and I miss doing it. And so I, dance and stuff in my house. And I had this like small mirror, and it wasn't as like fulfilling because you're not being able to like really see what you're doing and your like technique and all that. So I like went out and got this mirror today. Even though we had this new moon workshop, I was just like, you know what? I have a couple of days off. I need to do this. It's going to take a minute. I need the daylight, like gotta do it. And I just went out and did it. And it was like, no hesitation, right? No indecisiveness. There is also, before I get off track, before I get impulsive and off track, anger issues are coming into control. Maybe you had someone who was very angry or even abusive of you or took advantage, maybe crossed your boundaries, maybe the like even combative or volatile relationships and conflict. Like you're coming to terms with that because you're feeling like a deeper sense of strength and security and detachment from the past. And so it's like we're lightening our load. We're leaving behind any of those old patterns that would lead to that again. We're really truly going forward, and we are, even the people that we can't change our relationships with, like family or whatever, we can choose the way that we show up in those relationships and choose to change our perspective and perception of those relationships, and we can pray for assistance. And our perception is really shifting too in a lot of ways. So Mercury has gone direct in Sagittarius, which is also, I thought it was interesting symbolically, the mirror really widens my vision. It broadens my vision and scope, and it opens up a greater portal, for potential. And I thought that was cool. But yeah, so Mercury going direct in Sagittarius is expanding our perspective and our clarity, and it's expanding the vision of what we feel is possible, because all of a sudden it felt like we were making an effort for so long but not seeing any results, and we were just like, is anything ever going to be effective again? It's like, did gravity get worse? Like, what is happening? It felt like it was just like pulling blood from a stone and pushing stone up a hill, and all the things that make, complex and heavy, feelings. But now finally it feels like there's less resistance, and our efforts are starting to actually like show fruit when we take an action, and it feels so much better. So it's like, I feel so much clarity. And without all the baggage and all the unconscious, motives that we didn't even know were driving us, like without those influencing us, like they were before, it's like, oh, we have so much less distraction and so much more clarity about like what needs to be done step by step, and really just not being distracted by shiny objects in our peripheral. It's become undesirable, distasteful. We actually are craving a little more structure. And there are probably like things that you want to manifest and you're like, ooh, I'm feeling really good, really inspired to take action, but we're mature enough now not to take impulsive action that's going to cost us. We can, troubleshoot and plan and take calculated, planned, I can't think of the word that I want, but intentional action. We'll call it that. Pluto is moving into Aquarius, and that for me is like revelation and revelation and revolution. It's like we are finally like seeing the light of all of the eureka moments of, oh my gosh, yes, now I can take this wisdom and embody it. Like it's so much easier to detach, so much easier to take action, so much easier to reach out and make that pitch, whatever it is that you felt so much resistance for before. It's like all of the experience and everything is now, it's been rehearsed, and we're able to rehearse it in our mind and practice how we want to actually revolutionize who we're reinventing as, right? So it's like practice these scenarios playing out. If you want an opportunity with, say, like a job or a career change or what have you, imagine the next step you need to take and practice it in your mind going well until you take that step and see it through. And like reverse engineer what needs to get done. Just practice it and just do it, right? Just do it as quick as you can without like resistance. But when you rehearse something in your mind, like say it's something that you have a gap of time, like an interview coming up, or you're preparing, a packet to send to someone, and it takes a minute. While you're going through that process, continually envision it all going well and going exactly the way you plan, and feel good while you're doing it. Feel fun, feel free, feel excited because it's gonna go as planned. And keep practicing these things in your mind until the opportunity presents. That way when the opportunity presents, it's like we're ready. It's already living in our DNA. We don't have to worry about making the wrong choice. Like it's already been made. This is choreographed. The choice is made for us. We know what our greater vision is. We know what our goal is. And so we understand the step-by-step things that we need to do to get there. So when, opportunities and choices present, it's going to be so much more clear as to, wow, does this go in with that grand vision, or is this way out of like joint here? And so it'll make it a lot easier to be confident in our decision making and just make quick, instinctual choices, and don't second guess them, but really go in and do everything you can to make them successful. Be slow to change your mind about stuff, right? Don't change it all around. Give yourself time to like see if like a method or an execution or a structure works for you. And then Mars trining Jupiter, taking action on opportunities. Opportunities themselves are expanding. Our fortune is expanding. Opportunities may start trickling in, but I feel like they're just going to start growing and like snowballing. And so it's like the small ones, let those build you up and start building momentum and excitement and optimism and anticipation for like even bigger things to come. Okay, and then let's see, what was that note? So it's also expanding the other Mars aspects. So be careful not to pop off My Kabbalah teacher, David, said something that I thought was really valuable to the other day in one of his videos. Y'all should go follow David Guillaume on Instagram. He makes really good reels. But he was saying that, we as the vessel, right, we're always, receiving the light, and, we're hoping to gather light and receive that light. But, sometimes our vessels are closed off, and sometimes they're open, and sometimes they are strong and wide, and they can hold a lot. And that's when we're really like appreciating and making an effort, and we're conscious. But then it's like, if we lose that consciousness, our vessel can spill, our vessel can break. And so what he was saying is that if you get angry, don't throw something, because it's like you're throwing your light out. You're expending it, and you're throwing that energy out, and so you're losing the light. So it's an act of reactiveness. And so better to not throw an object, but maybe to breathe through it and sit with the feeling and process it and transmute it from there. But yeah, I thought that was interesting about that. Just thinking about the ways that instead of, in a moment where we feel triggered, instead of reacting, try to breathe through it. Give yourself a minute to actually decide, go back in the play-by-play, go back to the playbook. How did you rehearse this, and how did you want this to play out? Or how did you at least want yourself to try to show up in this scenario, hoping it would play out in a different way? And even if it doesn't, right? You get to choose how you are. You don't get to choose how life presents. So, and the only thing that we're held accountable for is how we show up in the scene work, not what the scene work presents to us. All right, so let's get into our occultic cross. The first card here is going to be us in the context of this moment. This is my own oracle deck. This is the straightforward oracle. I'm working on it currently. This has been my little personal baby project for a while. So the first card is bad advice. So you may be laboring under bad advice right now. Maybe there is something that seems traditionally true, but there's something about it that may not work for you personally. Let's read it. And this is in the context of this moment. So is there something that you feel like, oh, you kind of were advised to do this, but something just doesn't, you're like, something doesn't feel right. If you feel like something's off. Maybe you got advice from a source that has been tampered with energetically by the opponent who wants to throw you off. Maybe you misread something, or maybe you read into something like a coach said that would normally be good advice, but in your particular situation, it just doesn't apply in your case. So let's read at least the first notes on the front of the card. Someone around you is trying to give you advice. Their advice may seem logical, but it is wrong for you. Don't take it. The traditional way won't work for you this time. Ask yourself if the source of this advice could have an agenda. Consciously or unconsciously, the advice giver has their own baggage and or motives. All right, just take that into account. Oh, I think also too, I started to talk about earlier how the more that we self-sacrifice, the more we open up to our next level of consciousness and our next level of it's like Mario up-leveling when he squashes one of the little mushroom guys and then grabs a coin and he's like or whatever. It's like we get an increase in power. We reveal more of the light of the creator from within us, because what we've done is we've broken a shell of the darkness and that veils that light. Those shells are called klipot in Hebrew. Okay, so crossing us now. This is the influence that is crossing us now. Ooh. Pay attention to red flags. So something is amiss, interestingly enough. The writing is on the wall. Turn back now. This is the sign. Don't ignore this. You will regret it. Don't say we didn't warn you. Sometimes the evolved thing is to not put yourself in situations with red flags. Your intuition is trying to protect you. Ignoring red flags damages the trust you are building in yourself. Ignoring red flags is a sign of low self-worth. So I love this. This is a warning. So again, another way to look at this too is in the tarot, Capricorn's card is the Devil card. And that energy, in a way is just speaking to this material world. But sometimes we get caught up in the illusion of the material world being the thing that is the thing, and it's not the thing. The material world is the illusion, and the material world is being created based on vibration, spirit, source, our soul's level, right, of correction and what it needs in the moment. So the Devil card it comes up in a time where we feel really controlled and really obsessed about what's happening before our eyes, what we can see, feel, taste, and touch. And we're trying to approach it with all of the solutions being things that you can see, feel, taste, and touch, instead of going to the root source of what the issue is underlying the faulty structure, right? So go to there's a spiritual or energetic issue right now that needs to be addressed. And so there's something that we're getting too caught up with. But the opponent, right, is presenting right now. So the seed level of the month is flavored by Capricorn energy. So there is this antagonist aspect to Capricorn. Because Capricorn wants us to evolve and mature and be able to master the material world, the shadow side of Capricorn is the opponent that is the ruler over the material world, which is, the opponent that pushes us as our nemesis to try to stop us from revealing the light that the Creator wants in this world. Like the Creator is the real ruler of the world, but this is the playing ground that the opponent was given reign over. And so the opponent's job is literally is tasked to try to push us from getting to our greatest potential. And it will either we will either provoke and catalyze us into revealing more of our strength and more of our determination, or opponent will succeed in beating us down and causing us despair and stealing our light and taking more power to the other side. So it's up to us to make that choice in any given moment. And so again, circling back, is that every time we choose to overcome our opponent within us, within our own ego, that's what the opponent uses against us, then we take another step that aligns us with a different destiny. Then we shift our destiny. It's not the story that we would have had to play out with a bunch of more process, with a bunch of more learning situations. It's like we don't need to go through those lessons again. It's like, oh, we healed that. We became awakened, and we became self-realized, and we actually took different actions and we made different choices, and then we were able to shift our destiny, and we up-leveled. We literally got to shift into an upper level through our embodiment of our up-level. So pay attention to red flags. Don't go down those same default storylines again. The opponent will try to test you this month. And it will try to lure you into the same old patterns and the same old, hair triggers and temptations. And you just have to stay very, very strict, at least for the next month, watching yourself, changing your habits, changing your patterns, because this is the seed that we're planting for the new beginning. Okay. The subconscious influence that's affecting us now is affect consciousness. So there are two core groupings of conscious states that we can be in at any given moment. We can be in cause consciousness, which is in affinity with the light of the Creator. The Creator, out of pure state of beingness and consciousness, said, let there be light, or made a cataclysmic boom, and the Big Bang happened in the universe, that creation was born. Let there be light, and there was light, and there it was. So the creator is the cause. We can't affect the creator. We have no effect over the creator. We are the effect of the creator. But if we rise above our lower selves, we can build affinity with the creator by building a state of cause consciousness. And to do that, we have to build certainty in the light of the creator. We have to become more like the creator. We have to sacrifice the ego. We have to die to the smaller, lower self. We have to die to the desire to receive for the self alone, and instead become a vessel who receives for the sake of sharing. And that is a difficult process. It's not easy. But when you start building that and those virtues and that affinity with the light, then you feel less chaos in your life. And you see that you are having a greater effect on your environment, and that you become a better manifester, and things just start flowing with more ease and harmony. And so you start to build that. But in any given second, we can slip out of it and go right into effect consciousness, which is, oh, the circumstances have changed. Now I am affected by these circumstances. Oh my gosh, everything around me is uncertain, and now I'm uncertain. Oh, I don't know what to do. I'm going to panic, and I'm going to start, making mistakes and taking costly, actions and being impulsive. And, so it's like, as you become more wise and discerning, you slow down and you act slower, because you're not reacting anymore. You're acting with consciousness. You're acting with cause consciousness, not effect consciousness. Effect consciousness is buy now while supplies last. This deal will not last but another 24 hours. So that is the subconscious thing that is affecting our situation right now. That's motivating us. It's just being a slave to our effect consciousness, to our ego, which Capricorn is trying to highlight for us so we can overcome that, so we can master that. So being reflexively reactive, being the victim of circumstance, believing illusion, uncertain, inconsistent, a 3D mindset, forgetting your power, autopilot, unconscious patterns, default. Practice pausing. Give yourself space to use free will. Amazing. Okay, so the next card is going to be, what is a past lesson that has been affecting us, but that we're almost out of? I feel like I wanted to look at that one too. Ooh, not those. Your limiting beliefs are the issue. So we're getting past the limiting beliefs. We're starting to see them clearly when they present, and we're like, oh my God, those are my limiting beliefs coming up. Like, it's not even valid. I don't have to be limited in my beliefs, right? I'm just going to push right through them. And it's time to take better care of yourself. And so maybe you've had a scarcity mindset that has been driving you, and you haven't taken good enough care of yourself. And so now you're starting to learn, from that, and having, growing your self-worth. You are moving past these limiting beliefs, and now not having that sort of like holding you down, you're like, I can take better care of myself than I thought I was capable of doing, and I need to start doing that. Like, what have I been doing? Like, it's like we're waking up from a sleep, and we're like, I've been kind of groggy for a minute, but now I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I gotta make a dentist appointment, So yeah, what's holding you back? And that's a literal example. I thought that dental, people talk about it like it's so expensive, and it is, depending on what you need done. But I mean, if you get dental insurance, you get a good one, it saves you quite a bit of money, and things aren't quite as expensive as you think they are if you find a dentist that's in network with your insurance company. And then I was like, that's doable. I'm just, why have I not done this sooner? Like, I just, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like one of those things. Also, settling for a relationship that's not what you really want for yourself. It's like now, I think, and then, whether that's friendships or, people you collaborate with or romantic partners or family relationships, it's like you're starting to realize, oh, I'm not going to settle for this dynamic anymore. I'm going to show up differently, but I'm also going to communicate my needs. And depending on how editable that person is from your life, then you can make adjustments as needed. But I would say that, people that you have welcomed in that, like for instance, friends that are toxic or bad relationships, people that you don't need to be dating or types of people that you don't want to date anymore. The kinds of like relationships that you're not really willing to entertain. It's like you're seeing clearly that you don't want that. It's undesirable. So you're going to stop going down that same road that you did before. It's like you're really ready to break the patterns and to have a new fresh cycle. Okay, so what is crowning us now? This is an emotional issue to overcome. So this is very Capricorn-y saying that. It's like, this isn't really a real issue. It's not a material issue. This is mostly an emotional issue to overcome. So if we can, get to the root of overcoming the power that our feelings are having over us, we don't need to bypass these emotions that need to be purged and dealt with. However, we don't need to be going forward making our decisions controlled by our emotions either. So let's read this card. Your emotions are in control. They need to be balanced with dispassionate practicality. Listening to your emotions is not the same as listening to your heart. Your emotions are mutable like water. This will pass. Get regular exercise and do other things that naturally stimulate your mood, and you might feel differently. An emotional wound or expectation is having, an emotional wound or expectation is having too much influence over the situation. It's not healthy and will cause issues. So yes, there's something that is crowding our consciousness or our energy right now. The thing that's blocking us from taking the cleanest, most practical steps forward in this new cycle and having a fresh start is something that's like emotional issues to overcome. There may be a couple, like we were talking about earlier, like 2 or 3. There may be one specific issue that is like the culminating symbolic representation of all of these come to a head, right? But whatever it is, like this is an emotional issue. It's not real. It can be changing. It's nothing to make core, concrete, long-term choices on. And that's another thing about like with all the astrology right now, it's asking us to make choices for our long-term fulfillment that will yield long-term value, not just short-term satisfaction. Okay, what is around the corner? What's right around the corner? In the not too distant future, what's coming? I see energy detox there. I'm not going to pull it out. Everybody's doing dry January. Oh, hurt feelings and endings. Okay, so maybe something is an emotional issue may come to a point where you need to address hurt feelings to start this new cycle fresh and let bygones be bygones, put the past in the past. Brace yourself. It could be that your feelings may have to get hurt in order to really let something be the end of it. Whether that's a behavior in yourself or, something that you have been attached to. You'll have to discern that for you, but possibly something to do with hurt feelings and endings. And I feel like this is the culmination of the ending of the old cycle, so you can have a crisp, clean start in a new one. Okay, and it's sometimes, unfortunately, it's not easy to leave a chapter of our life when it's desirable to be there, or if it's even neutral or palatable. Sometimes we need that push, that kick in the ass out. So, or sometimes, you know how you will have a tiff with a close friend or, you know, someone, and it's like once the air is cleared, it's like you can get past it and everything, you put it behind you, and it's the end of that whole thing that was causing all the sourness. Could be something like that too. Okay, so this is your perspective that is affecting you right now. Listen carefully. Deep listening, open heart, pay attention to others. Who are you listening to? So right now, your perspective may be influenced by who you've been listening to. Remember the beginning of the reading, the card that was us in the context of this moment is bad advice. Like some bad advice is like influencing like maybe a choice point that we're coming up to. So our perspective right now is affected by listening. So it's like, be careful and be very discerning about who you are taking your, like who you're trusting with your issues, who you're talking to, who you're taking advice from and why, and who you're taking in the influence of. I mean, there's so many influencers that are just crowding the feeds. I mean, even earlier, I don't really scroll very much on TikTok, and there was just this lady that started to talk about something that piqued my interest, and overall, at the end of the video, I was like, I mean, she's saying all the right buzzwords, but like her energy just, like, I'm just not really with it. And if you're not careful, it's like we just get inundated with people, you know, and their influence, and for every reason, right? For politics, for, you know, commercialism, you know, for people's own agendas. So be careful who you're listening to. Be careful who's having influence over you. Also, listen to yourself and listen to your heart and listen to your gut. Deeply listen within, sit in meditation and connect with Creator, Source. Let that pure source guidance from within steer you and steer your course right now. So, you know, you could go, and remember we just saw that in that energy detox card. So that could also be do an energy detox about cutting out other people's energy from influencing your direction at this current moment. Okay. Other people's influence on us right now. This is the outer influence on us. This is tied to an early childhood fear. So something right now has built up and culminated through maybe lifelong patterns of this kind of behavior that started from fears birthed in childhood that created insecurities that caused like your ego to create defense mechanisms to shield you from what your child perception believed was a mortal threat or a threat that could lead to your abandonment. And then where would you be, right? So you may be self-abandoned to comply and to, you know, pacify others. The North Node being in Aries right now and the South Node in Libra, it's like our new identity is taking shape, that North Node in Aries, and we're really owning our new sense of self and how we're showing up in the world. South Node in Libra is what we're leaving behind, the lessons we've learned about toxic and unhealthy relationship patterns that don't serve us and that aren't, you know, equitable and equally reciprocated. So we're in this like midpoint between right now in Capricorn, And it's like between eclipse seasons. And so it's like really heightened, this energy right now. There's also, I think, a cardinal cross happening that is involving all of the cardinal signs. So if you have any of those, all of this is going to be heightened. I am like a triple cardinal, so I'm just like ding, 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 ding. But the outer influence right now, this is all because of early childhood fears that created these patterns. And so everything that's presenting to us right now is trying to show us like, hey, these are the childhood fears that you can heal right now and you can change so that this new cycle isn't flavored with your wounded inner child, right? You can reparent this inner child in this period of incubation right now before we're launched into our real energetic new year, which is in Aries season. We can really do this healing and get ourselves off to the best start that we can. So this behavior is a direct result of childhood trauma. This is a defense mechanism connected to an event in childhood that made you feel threatened, abandoned, neglected, or not valued. You reach for this behavior in an attempt to comfort yourself. Interesting. Okay. So the next card will represent our hopes and fears. Those are just inextricably linked together. Ooh, okay, I think it's this one. Pay attention to your dreams. So your dreams have been heightened recently. We can connect fully. Neptune came out in the cards for the midweek alchemy message, and I feel like Neptune is in the works of something today, if not has been recently. I can't remember. I looked in my journal, but I remembered something was going on with Neptune today as well. But your dreams could be heightened and more intensified. Pay attention to them. Get into a practice before you go to sleep where you can wind down and really cleanse and clean your energy and your like mental state before you go to bed. And then have a prayer practice where you ask for guidance from divine about, the next steps in all the areas of your life that you want to see progress in. Every area that you want to see blessings in, honestly. And so ask for guidance in your sleep as to, what actions you can take or what needs to be changed or what needs to be brought into your awareness. But pay attention to your dreams. Record and interpret your nightly dreams. There are messages for you. Practice lucid dreaming, astral projecting. When we sleep, our souls travel to an astral realm for cleansing and education. Make your sleep space clean and sacred. Protect yourself with salt and crystals. And then you're in great pain. So I was pulling an additional card for your hopes and fears. So your dreams might be trying to highlight pain that you are not aware of. Like, this may be pain that is so buried that you've thought that you've taken care of it all, but you're just not really tapped into the feeling of it anymore. It's been something like, have you ever just adjusted to an ache that you had and it just becomes dull? There's something that's presenting, and maybe your dreams, like your nightly dreams, can present that to you. Maybe pray that you are shown what pain is lingering that's blocking me from really fully going into this next level, and fully embodying, all of these lessons so far, so that I can be, have more affinity with my higher self. Okay, and then the likely outcome right now is this is a dead end. So there's something that is there's an ending that needs to happen, that there's just no more progress there. Futile attempts, fruitless efforts, just passing through. A temporary experience. Nothing significant will grow from this. So this may be something that hasn't even quite presented yet, but it's probably something that is more attached to an old cycle rather than something that you're excited and been manifesting, like a dream that you're building. If there's something that intuitively you're like, I just don't think that this is going any further. Like, I don't think that this is going to work. And you're just like, have tried every single thing, and the depths of your soul are telling you this is a dead end, then, you know, maybe it is. But there's probably something that's just like obvious. You're like, yes, this is the red flag. Like, it's coming up again. This is an emotion. I'm being emotional about this. I'm not being logical. I'm not being dispassionate in my analysis of whether or not this thing is in alignment with my grand, big, serious vision for like unmasking my greater potential and my deeper fulfillment. Okay, so let's pull a few tarot cards from the Modern Witch Tarot to get a little bit of clarity. Just pull all this together. All right. Three of Wands. Yes, ready to expand the vision. This is creation phase 1 of completion. In like the numerology aspect of 1, 2, 3 being a group, and like the first 3 steps, it's like phase 1, and then 4, 5, 6 is the second phase of completion. And then 7, 8, 9 is the final. 9 is the final completion. And then 10 is the overflow. So in the Three of Wands, it's like we are equipped and ready to step outside of our comfort zone. Our vision is expanding, and we are ready to broaden our horizons and, you know, take a risk and take a leap and, you know, start pursuing. Many times this will portray that you can see ships are coming into the harbor, right? New experiences are coming in and invitations for us to go out onto new adventures. So something new is definitely like we're launching onto a new journey, well equipped and ready. So basically this is warnings of like, don't waste your time doing the same old things that you know aren't going to work in the same old ways. Be ready for new adventures. Be ready to grab your chance of a new cycle with a fresh start with new experiences. We can't really have new experiences if we keep doing the same things that we always did, the same ways that we always did them. Three of Swords. So again, there is something about like a sense of pain and upheaval and turmoil and separation that is like sort of festering beneath the surface that is going to flavor like the seed level of this new beginning. Like think of if you're like cooking a pot, like say I love making beans and rice, and I get so mad because I will turn around for a minute to wash some dishes to stay on top of everything. And then before I know it, I've burnt the freaking pot like right at the beginning of the whole process. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I burnt the sausage and now the whole pot's gonna taste burnt or whatever. It's like you burn that beginning and then the whole soup tastes bad, whatever you're making. This is like that. There's some warning here that there is something festering beneath the surface that we don't know is there. It's like a deep pain that we're unaware of that's driving us, that's motivating us in some way that's negative, that is causing us to be reactive instead of having the self-control that we need to make the decisions and choices to go into the direction that we need to really reveal our potential and our greater fulfillment. Page of Cups. So Page of Cups is many times talking about an apology. And so where was the hurt feelings and endings card? So again, Three of Swords is hurt feelings. Page of Cups is an apology. So maybe it's like make peace, make amends, be tender and sensitive and kind and understanding. You can have boundaries and, you know, you can maintain and you know what you need to with people, but at the same time you can also be understanding and tender and caring, and maybe that's what you need to do in order to get past this painful upset that may have caused maybe it caused endings in some ways, like literal endings, but maybe this in other situations it caused endings of cycles that were able to cause like fresh starts or like different dynamics. It ended old dynamics and it made way to change to new dynamics, you know, for relationships that don't leave you, like, you know, family and whatnot, permanent people. Well, no one's really permanent, but long-term people who tend to be around. Okay, and then Ace of Swords, clarity, new beginnings, new starts, a fresh new mindset, a fresh new way of looking at it. One of my favorite lessons that really stuck with me, and I think that this was from Gabby Bernstein's book, May Calls Miracles. This is, I would highly recommend this book, but it's a 40-day practice where you are basically getting to know your ego so that you can foil its tricks. And this helps you in all areas of your life, but particularly with relationships. And so, you know, this is like getting clarity on where, you know, the ego is tripping you up, where, you know, you can start fresh or, you know, decide what needs to change. But ultimately, this is about our own awakening and our own fresh start within, and like a new awakening. It's like a death of the ego and a reawakening. I was going to say something else about it, but I can't remember. It'll come back to me if it's important. Okay, let's actually, before we do that, let's get a Moonology card to see what we need to know for the month ahead. What do we need to know? Because the new moons affect the whole month. Emotions are running high, supermoon. Okay, again, emotional issue to overcome. So try to stay grounded, try to stay earthed, try to stay practical this month. There is something that is going to be an emotional issue that is going to be influencing your decision making. And so be very discerning and careful about that, because there's also going to be advice that may be pushing you in a direction that may be wrong for you, but it's pacifying what your emotions want you to do. So be very careful. Emotions are running high. Don't make any huge big moves this month. Don't make any, you know, permanent decisions or do anything impulsively. You know, no big actions need to be taken. We're just thinking, we're just planning, we're just reflecting, and we're just getting really clear on our vision. So yeah, the best thing we can do is just get out of the danger zone and don't be reactive. Because from a Kabbalistic point of view, the month of Capricorn is the month that is one of the months that we have the highest potential of experiencing our own negativity within ourselves. That wanting to control, wanting to have like a practical explanation and solution for everything, wanting to be, you know, have everything, you know, perfect, that the Capricorn thing, you know, being a little bit maybe too rigid or stern or strict. It's like we have to overcome that this month. In other months, the other ones are, I know Leo is one, and I can't remember which one the other one is. We've got 4 of Cups. So this is being in a little bit of a malaise, and we're not seeing the opportunity that's being presented. So again, you know, this is an emotional issue here. This is someone who's just kind of being a sourpuss and getting into a rut, and they're letting that rut blind them to a moment that is really an opportunity. And that may be a quiet January, you know, a moment to collect yourself. You may be feeling like, oh, I don't like this. I'm so bored. I want, you know, to go. But maybe this is the perfect time to not go. Maybe this is the time to get your thoughts in order. So failing to recognize a magical opportunity, missing the point, distractions of daily life, discontentment or boredom, lost in your own world, wake up. So yeah, again, don't get lost in the daily minutia either. I have had to force myself to take days off so that I could really dedicate to mysticism and creativity and envisioning the year before I get lost in the doing and I lose my focus, right? Got to get a plan before you take action. All right, so let's check in with our manifestations and see what we need to know for this month, for the next waxing cycle particularly. Pay attention, notice repetitious signs and your inner guidance, as this can yield valuable information. So again, not only are we paying attention to red flags, we're listening to divine guidance and hunches and pings, and we're following those. We're building the trust muscle. And when we get that guidance, we're actually acting upon it, because that ensures that we will continue to get more guidance. So we keep ignoring and rejecting the guidance, that we close ourselves off to it. Protection. You and your loved ones and possessions are safe and protected by heaven. So we got this card this week in our Oracle manifestation reading. And I was getting at the point that we are being presented with, challenges and uncertainty to teach us that it's not the vessels that we're obsessed about that are providing us with the thing that we seek. It's always source. So there's no reason to be worried about money or anything. Money, love, health, what's going to happen. It will be protected according to your faith. And so that's what we're talking about. When you go into effect consciousness and you go out of cause consciousness, you lose affinity with the light and then chaos happens. But when you can realign with that cause consciousness and be consistent and rely on the creator as your source and believe in that, believe that is perpetual and unconditional, and it's only we that disconnect from it in our moments of fear and doubt and insecurity. So knowing that you're protected and just believing that and choosing to believe it and relaxing into that certainty is actually protecting you. Also declaring the creator's greatness and goodness and protection and your gratitude for that out loud actually shrouds you in surrounding light of divine that is actually a shield of protection for you. Treasure chest, an unforeseen windfall of new abundance comes to you now. So again, we're being warned not to get into emotionally negative states of being, because that will close our vessel off to receiving. The universe is like, hey, this seems like kind of a shadowy reading, but the universe is like, hey, whatever you do not let yourself get into any kind of quagmire or get your panties in a twist or get all anxious or obsessing over about anything. Just stay in a positive state of reflecting and envisioning and get centered and grounded and work on your self-love and your faith and get your plans in order, and don't get emotional about anything. Just stay grounded, just stay practical, just stay focused on those details, but also in tune with your soul, your inner vision. But don't be swayed or controlled or tempted by your emotions, because a treasure chest, a windfall is coming. But if you short circuit, if you get pissed and throw something, you're going to throw all your energy that's been the magnetism of what's calling in this blessing, and you're going to squander the blessing. So hold your treasure chest closed, tight, keep it all restrict. Don't do anything reactive that you're going to regret. Just really stay in your positive, healthy routines and build that good, positive structure. And last but not least, make a wish. Ooh, okay, so again, the more that we sacrifice our lower nature and push ourselves out of our comfort zone to make the effort, it creates all of this magnetism and creative power within us to manifest and co-create. So make a wish. This is the time to set those intentions, those visions, right? Those intentions for the year and for the month and for the next 6 months. For the next quarter. This is a magical moment. Make a wish and enjoy its manifestation. So just make a wish and put it out there in the universe and let it go. But keep believing with all your heart that it's going to happen. In fact, in addition to all the manifestations that you're going to have to make an effort for, make a little wish that's one that you know is something that would be like something you can't just do. That it would be like universe is like definitely dropping that in your lap. So make a little wish and let that be something that builds your trust muscle. Okay, we're checking in with the romance angels. See what we need to know for this coming month and the next 2 weeks during the waxing cycle, and particularly these two. Ooh, very soon, and you deserve love. So again, working on deepening that self-worth, focusing and putting our attention on our self-love, investing in ourselves, investing in the, personal development and spiritual healing our, most near and dearest relationships to us right now, really putting the effort in and knowing that we deserve love. And so we're not going to settle for anything less. We're not going to squander the treasure coming. We're going to hold out for what's really aligned. And we're clearly deciding what it is that we want so that it can come to us now. So the more clear we get on our vision, for the next love cycle, it's like all the things that we're projecting into our future, all the things that we're envisioning. Think about, like, how do you want your money? How do you want your house? How do you want your diet to look? How do you want this next love cycle, to go? How do you want your relationships to feel? Get really clear on that. And the clearer you are on it, the faster that you can make choices that are aligned with that and take actions that are aligned with that. And the universe feels that, and that resonance, and that calls in what resonates with you. Okay, what else do we need to know for this next month? Love yourself first. So again, focusing on, the more love you put into yourself, the more radiant you are. Trust that everything is going to be working out in your favor, so you don't have to go out and force anything or make anything happen. And it is safe for you to love. So open your heart to give and receive the highest energy of all. But again, be discerning, don't let your ancient fears and insecurities ruin something that shouldn't be ruined, but listen to red flags. Don't go down certain paths that aren't going to lead to good destinations. And pay attention to your own red flags as well. If you're finding that you see that your own red flags start to wave, be like, oh my gosh, check myself before I wreck myself. Okay. Engagement. So engage with your love life differently than you did, and it will become more engaging. Okay, and let's get a word of wisdom from Mother Mary, Jesus's mom. What do you have to say for us, Mother Mary? What would your advice be for us this month, the month of Capricorn? Whoa. Miracle. Ooh, I trust in God to know the perfect solution to this situation. So holding out for miracles, believing in miracles. Miracles were what we've been doing the self-sacrifice to manifest through Hanukkah, solstice, Christmas, the Feast of Christmas, New Year. So, really expecting miracles and trusting in God and knowing that the perfect solution is on the way and listening deeply and carefully for that. In the meantime, practice forgiveness. I'm willing to release old resentment so that I may enjoy my life. Again, offloading that resentment. Forgiveness. Forgiveness is very powerful, and it unblocks so much so that so much can come through. Quiet. I go into peaceful silence and I listen. Listen carefully. Sit in meditation. Allow yourself time to go into peaceful silence and watched over. I allow myself to feel safe and enjoy my life, knowing that heaven is watching over me and my loved ones. Protection. Watched over. We are loved. We are protected. Okay. The card from the Jesus deck, Knock and It Shall Be Open to You, is on my altar, sitting on my top hat right now. So that's not in the deck, but otherwise they're all here. Let's get some loving words from Jesus. And then we are out, y'all. And then I will edit this and upload it, and it will be up as soon as I can get it up. I was hoping to get this filmed sooner, but there were a lot of things that I wanted to just take action on today. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is Luke 10:9. Heal the sick that are therein, and say unto them, the kingdom of God is come nigh unto you. And so the healing within, the emotional healing, the spiritual healing, the healing of the soul, that is what will lead to the physical healing. Not looking for all of the physical solutions and remedies. We need those. We need to find those too. But we can find exactly the right physical remedy, but if the spiritual solution isn't healed yet, then we'll still need the illness to heal the spiritual solution. So heal the spiritual wound, the emotional wound, and then there will be no need for the illness anymore. But also use whatever you need to address actual material healing. Do everything. Hit it from every angle. Heal the sick that are therein. Oh, it's hard to talk Bible. Heal the sick that are therein, and say unto them, the kingdom of God is come nigh unto you. And this isn't just talking about physical sickness. This is talking about the emotional soul sickness of the world. We common, Christians nowadays, they're obsessed about going to heaven. What they don't understand is that the kingdom of heaven is within. These evangelicals that are obsessed with the rapture coming, it's like the rapture is not going to take you out of the tribulation until you find yourself in rapture. We are in the tribulation. Are you in rapture right now? Some of us are. I feel like I'm enraptured most of the time. And so if you want to be raptured from the tribulation, we're not going to get zapped out. We're just here. We're on earth. We're in the conditions that we have made for ourselves. We have to find the rapture within. The freedom of fear of the outer illusion and being in an affect consciousness all the time, affected by it all. We liberate ourselves from that when we find that affinity with the light, when we find that serenity, we find that inner peace, that stillness within, knowing that we are watched over and we are protected. And that is what heals the sick. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. It's like we're finding that kingdom within. When we build these virtues within us, we can sustain and rule over that kingdom and maintain that harmony and ease and abundance. But it doesn't come without the ascension path to Christ consciousness, right? When Christ is the way, it's not this obsession over like Beatlemania Jesus. It's the Christ consciousness that Jesus was here to model for us and teach us about and awaken us to. All right, y'all, good luck this month. I think that it is a great year ahead. I think that this month, if we do our due diligence to stay in a positive and due diligent state of mind, stay on top of our opponent and anticipate the opponent's moves to trip us up, we can really embody all of the wisdom and the healing that we've already been working towards. And then hopefully reveal miracles and abundance, and bit by bit our manifestations will be coming to fruition, hopefully over soon and sooner, but over this next year. All right, y'all, I'll talk to you on the next one. Ciao.